great resignation, we've been hearing it a lot, and the war for talent. This has caused a lot of organizations sleepless nights, and hence understanding the talent landscape and formulating an integrated talent management system is imperative. For this, I'd like to invite Mrigank Tripathi, Chief Growth Officer, India and MENA, PeopleStrong, a strategy consultant turned digital entrepreneur turned growth leader. Mrigank is core member of HCM Business, leading growth and expansion in India and the Middle East. And joining him is Dr. Ghalib Hosni, Chief People Officer, Omantel Telecommunications Company. Dr. Ghalib has over 25 years of experience in telecommunication industry and has an expertise in HR, culture, and digital transformation. Over to you, gentlemen, and a very warm welcome.
No, thank you. Am I audible at the back? Yes? Okay, great. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for that kind introduction. Really appreciate it. It's a great afternoon. I know we've all had lunch, and we've had a great session just before this. So we'll try and map up to this. We don't have too much time, in all honesty. We have just about 15 odd minutes. And what we thought, what Dr. Ghalib and I thought was that we'd rather than just be verbose about the whole thing, we'll try and get you to a framework of how you should really think about talent management for the GCC and how it is actually being looked at. And of course, Dr. Ghalib is a great practitioner of this, so he'll also talk a bit more from an Omantel perspective. We at PeopleStrong have been at the forefront of talent management with lots of companies. We work with about 400 plus large enterprises across the globe. So we'll also tell you a few stories about that, but broadly, how to think about it and why is that important. So Dr. Ghalib, I just want to start off first off from a point of view of talent management, right? When you're acquiring talent, two things come to the front. First is skills. And it just almost seems to me that very few companies actually look at skills in a very systematic manner. They just say, oh, we need a sales executive, oh, we need a manager, oh, we need a branch manager, oh, we need X. Let's go hire that person, right? But where do skills and competencies come in? Isn't that the bedrock? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, first, thank you very much for SHRM for the invitation, and I'm really delighted to be here today. When you speak about skills and competencies, it's more important than ever, where skills are required very much when it comes to very technical jobs. Like you talk about sales, you talk about the different areas within the organization. From Omantel experience, when it comes to skills, we looked at the future of jobs. We look at the jobs that are required today and what type of skills do we have. And then through that is what we do is we look at those gaps where we find, especially when it comes to data scientists, when it comes to IoT, when it comes to 5G, when it comes to those technical jobs. As an example, we have trained 100 individuals in Omantel on getting them ready for those jobs, like when it comes to the data scientists, and other jobs. So competencies is very important. The pandemic, which is the COVID, also had shifted the skills of managing staff remotely. We have managers that never managed, it used to be face-to-face. They used to have people like sitting with them in the offices and having more control on them. So managing those remotely for managers was really tough.
Even that was a skill that had to be acquired.
Yeah, that was a skill. They were not there before, so we have trained them and gained. We try to push that skills forward.
But from an HR perspective, from an HR BP or an HR executive perspective, it almost seems like there should be a team which is actually looking out into the forefront and saying, hey, what are the skills that my company is going to require to be able to prosper in the future? Do you actually have a team like that? Do you have that sort of a discussion?
Yes, we have a team which is focused on the future of jobs and futures of skills. And this team look after, different areas when it comes to succession planning, when it comes to career development, when it comes to assessment to ensure that what type of skills is required. Like, for example, for us, we have two options. The first option is to go ahead and recruit those type of skills, which is very difficult to find in the market, especially in the telecom. On the telecom market, people keep moving around in the GCC. You find people like staying in Omantel for 2 or 3 years, then you'll find them in STC or Mobile or Zain or Ittisalat. So they keep, just rotating around this. So what we've decided is to train our employees, especially on the technical competencies, to ensure that they could meet the future.
No, we're going to come to the training one in just 1 minute. I just want to, so just from an overall context setting perspective and bringing this back to the framework setting that we were talking about for talent in the GCC, one of the important elements that Dr. Ghalib has actually highlighted, and I tend to agree with him because I see that more and more in companies. Companies today are spending an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out what are the skills and competencies that will be relevant to them next year or the year after that, and starting to build for it from today. And this is at every executive level, this is one of the most important things, because that's what's going to then drive the overall recruitment paradigm. When you have to, let's say, recruit for a sales executive, at least you must know what are the skills and competencies that person must have. And only then will you actually move to the second phase, which is the talent management side of it, right? How does learning and performance interact with each other? Because I'll just take you through an example of a company that we worked with. It's a 26,000 people company back in India. They would hire a sales executive, and that executive, basis his skills or assessments that have been done on day one, would actually get a roadmap automatically from the system saying, hey, you need to learn A, B, and C to get to a sales manager level. And that's not something that happens very, very easily. But for that, you need to have those skills mapped out. You need to have that whole learning content in. Dr. Ghalib, what are your thoughts on how learning and performance should actually be interacting with skills and competencies?
Actually, performance is a feeder for learning.
That's correct.
And so any gaps from performance that feeds learnings, and where we have through this talent management integration system, where any findings that comes from the onboarding, from the assessment, that will feed and performance that feeds the learnings. So they are working together very, very much when it comes to leadership development, when it comes to technical development, behavioral competencies, all that linked together. And that's the finding from performance which helped the learnings as well.
No, I was talking to a fairly large enterprise here in the UAE just the other day, and they were telling me that they were trying to automate what Dr. Ghalib just said, that, hey, basis my performance, learning should come automatically. And they've been trying it for a little over 2 years to get that going, and they've still not been able to do that, right? Now, how can you do that? That's really the trick of management, because the GCC is on a rise. The journey is like this. You cannot be, systems and processes cannot be following that. You need to be actually leading that overall thing, right? So that's on the management side of it. But I think the third element, which I believe is extremely important, is the employee experience part of it, right? Employees are today not ready to just say, hey, I'm fine with whatever clunky system you give me. I need to have my Instagram type of an experience. I need to have a simple experience which is intuitive, which is driven by systems, not me having to follow up with that, right? So one of the important things, and I've put up only 2 parts over here, which is career planning and compensation, because, think about it. As HR people, what is the one question that is most common when somebody wants to leave? To me, I would say it is, I don't know what is my career growth here. I don't know what am I going to be doing. I don't see a career growth. That career planning, can you make it transparent? And I'd love your views on that, Dr. Ghalib. How is it that what is the impact that if I were to just tell everybody that, look, all of these are options that are in front of you, choose what you want to do and go and embark on that journey and become great in your own right. How does that work?
Maybe I'll give you an example of Omantel. In Omantel, we have, for the career development and succession planning, we have a journey called like My Journey, and it's your move. What we tell the employees, we have the tools, we have the learnings, we have the guidelines, policies, procedures to support you grow within the organization. So we allow them to basically drive their own career.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, but it was a failure. We failed on that as Omantel, and then we find that not most employees are
interested in that.
Not only interested, they didn't know how to get there.
Yeah. So
they were shortage from our side as HR. So we are looking at this, in terms of not everybody can drive their own career.
I hear you.
So they need guidance, they need coaching from the leaders. So we are doing that today. So transparency is very important.
One, yeah.
Succession planning is one thing that's very important, to be transparent when you communicate the successors.
Absolutely, and that's part of career planning. I know the time is going up, and I've been sort of asked to sort of leave, so I just want to very quickly sort of sum this up. The last one point that I do want to sort of touch upon is compensation. Typically what happens is that across companies and large companies specifically, you will do compensation on the basis of, hey, this is grade 6, let's just give them a 5% hike. Or let's just give them a 15% hike. However, in that grade 6, you might have actually 20 people who are super performers or 50 people who are absolutely not performing. Linkage of performance with compensation has been non-existent for years and years. We need to link them together so that the right wages is given out to the right type of people. We at PeopleStrong have been doing exactly this from an out-of-the-box type of a solution. And today we do work with, Today we do work with all of these sorts of companies across the globe. We also work with the Indian government to help with their overall skilling initiatives, and we're hoping to do some work here as well. In case anybody is interested in finding out a bit more about this, we're right over here. Do come across and do this. Sorry, that was a shameless plug right at the end of the event. I didn't want to do that, but this was just too good an event to be let loose. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ghalib, for your things.